Hey everybody, Reds the Collector here with another action... Wait a second, that's not an action figure, that's a book! Yes, today we're going to be doing a book review. Now I know that this is completely new for me. I wanted to branch out into another medium just besides the standard action figures. Now of course I'm not stopping doing action figure reviews. But I wanted to throw something new in there, and like myself, I'm sure a lot of you guys out there are readers. A lot of us have a lot in common, besides just the action figure collecting. And that's a love of a great many things that's, sci-fi, fantasy, or hero, whatever. So I wanted to go ahead and do a review of these books. Now, Bill the Vampire, this is the Tome of Bill, Book 1. There are currently technically 5 books currently in the series, with a 6th book that's going to be coming out. Now, books 1 through 4 deals with Bill and his associates. Book 5 is kind of a offshoot book dealing with another one of the main characters having their own little adventure. And then we're going to come back in book 6 with the main cast. Now, I found these, let me just say the genre of these books is what is called urban fantasy. Urban fantasy is when you take all the elements of fantasy, such as vampires, werewolves, magic, fairies, whatnot. You take all of that and you put it in a modern day setting. So, Bill the Vampire, as you can see, is wearing a tie, a pocket protector, and a set of nerd glasses, and it looks like the Matrix is behind him. So, Bill the Vampire is obviously set in modern day, and it's set in New York. Now that's, I'm assuming because from everything I've always read about being a writer, because I thought about going into the profession myself at one point, is write what you know. And of course the author, Rick, and I'm sorry I'm going to murder this, and I'm not going to say your name after this, I'm just going to call you Rick, but Rick Gualtieri? Probably not even close on that. Rick G. Lives in, or on, the East Coast. He does live in New Jersey. We're going to try not to hold that against him. I personally try not to hold people's geographic location against them. I've got friends who live in the UK, and not one of them has called me governor. And to my knowledge, Stewart has never beheaded somebody and absorbed their quickening. Now, does this disappoint me? Yeah. Do I try to go past it? Yeah, I do. I try, but whatever. So, Rick is writing what he knows. He knows the East Coast area. Bill does reside in New York. So let's get to the main story itself. Actually, before we do that, I want to tell you how I'm going to try and keep this beginning part a little short. I filmed this review once already, and I kind of blathered on for like the first 10 minutes and didn't say much about the book, just kind of like how I found it and whatnot, how I tend to do, how I tend to blather. And I really don't want to do that. I want to say more about the book this time. I don't really want to give away any spoilers, but in watching my last video, I realized that I didn't give you a whole lot of information on the book itself. But I found this book on Amazon.com. I had finished reading another book series in the same genre, the urban fantasy setting, a book series by Jim Butcher called The Dresden Files. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with this series. It's a great series of books, and Amazon has a cool little feature that allows you to search for similar type things, and this was one of the books that came up. It was very recently priced. For a Kindle book, it was like $2.99 or $3.99, so I thought, why not? I'm going to give it a shot. I picked up the first book. I whipped through it real quick. The other 2 books were already on there for, again, the same $2.99 or $3.99, so I snapped those up real quick. And then I was taking a look at the author's Amazon page, and on that he says, "Hey, send me, any criticism that you might have." No, I sent him a couple of things the first time, and then I sent him something after that. Upon rereading the book, that kind of bothered me the first time, and I wasn't sure why it bothered me. But then reading the rest of the series and getting a feel for the character, a specific character, not Bill himself, but a different character, it bothered me a little bit. So I sent him another email, and he responded with, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And I'll tell you that here in a minute. But you can actually just, you can write an email to Rick. He will respond. He responded to me within, I want to say 2 days. It might have been 1 day. And that really impressed me. Now, he is an indie author. He does have his own publishing. It's called Free Will Press. And, I mean, he does, of course, use an editor, but he doesn't have a big publishing company behind him. So you're not going to like find these in bookstores. Maybe on the East Coast you will, but you're not going to find them in a local bookstore. You're not going to find it in a library. I know he's working on that because I just talked to him about that recently. And he's working on getting into libraries, but that can be a little bit difficult to get into when you don't have a huge publishing house behind you. So your best bet's going to be Amazon.com. Now, the first 4 books in the Bill series, which are called Bill the Vampire, Scary Dead Things, Woods of Mourning, and Holier Than Thou, can be purchased for the Kindle in a compendium for $9.99. So that's 4 books for $10. That is not a bad deal. I mean, if you buy them separately, I think you're only be paying $4 a piece, so it's like 16. So you're going to save yourself like $6. I'm sure Rick would prefer you buy them singularly to make him a little bit more money, but he's got another job. He'll be all right. But it is, I mean, they're very good books. I've actually found a lot of indie authors by Amazon leading me to them and me giving them a shot for, you know, a cheaper price and seeing if I enjoyed the book or not. And this one I did greatly enjoy. Now this, of course, is a paperback copy. I just stated that I bought them on Kindle, and now I have a paperback copy in front of me. This was actually a contest win. Every once in a while, Rick will have a contest on his Facebook, and I won this book. Now, of course, I already owned it, so when he was sending it to me, he was like, well, is there someone you'd like me to make it out to? And my response was, no, screw other people, make it out to me. And that's what he did. As you can see here, it says, Tony, thanks so much for your support. P.S. You're right, screw other people. And then there's Rick's signature. So I laughed when I read it, because he didn't tell me that was what he was going to write. I just replied to him, and then he ended up sending me the book. So, very down-to-earth guy. He's actually a collector like us. He collects vintage Transformers. I don't know, he may even be a member of some of the Transformer groups. I haven't looked, so I have no idea. But, and I'm not sure how avid of a collector he is, but I do know that he is a collector of vintage Transformers. It's actually mentioned on his Amazon page. So, you know, he's one of us. He's a collector, he's a writer, and this is something I wanted to bring to you guys. I don't know how many of you will watch it, because this isn't an action figure review, but if you do give this a chance, and I hope you will, at least, you know, pick up the first book off of Amazon if you've got a Kindle, and I know it's on other formats as well, but I have a Kindle, so, and give it a shot, because it's a great book. So, Bill the Vampire, set in modern day, set in New York City. Bill is a computer programmer like us. Well, he's a nerd like us, let's just say. A fan of nerdly pursuits. He plays D&D, he plays video games, he's a computer pro, he's a programmer, a coder for a game company, and he ends up getting turned into a vampire. He goes to a party with a lot of beautiful people, and doesn't really understand what he's doing there, but he sees a couple other guys that kind of look to be of his social level. But what ends up happening is he ends up getting turned into a vampire, and he ends up being this legendary type of vampire, which doesn't do him much good, but doesn't really do him any good, actually. But he ends up being this different kind of vampire. It's called a free will, and I'm going to try not to give you too many spoilers, but he's what's called a free will vampire, and what that means is he can't be compelled by anybody. Be that his master, which normally would have absolutely no issue with compelling one of their own children, or with a stronger vampire. Now, with stronger vampires, the older they get, the more powerful they get, and at some point, it would be very difficult to compel them. But with Bill, right off the jump, he can't be compelled. And then there's all of these legends and things that are surrounding the legend of the free will. And that's basically where the story takes you. It takes you down the path that he basically has to walk from here on out, while maintaining his life, because as it states in the book, he asks, you know, when does he get like the perfect body like everybody else around him, and you know, they basically don't turn nerds for the most part. So he's not going to. He's stuck in his nerd body. And he still has to keep his job because you don't instantly get rich. So, he has to figure out how to continue working and making money while still being this vampire. And just telling his roommates. He lives with 2 roommates, one of which is a collector of Transformers and other things, who freaks out when somebody touches his collectibles, like I know some of us would. And I don't want to give away any more of the book. Now, I will say about the other thing I wrote some of the criticisms on. One being the testing of Bill's powers. Because me being an old gamer, an old role player, that's one of the first things I would test out is, what can I do? And the 2 being, there's another character by the name of James, who is kind of older, and he makes a comment about a children's TV show. And it's a funny line. I'm not going to say it because I want you to enjoy it in the book. It's a funny line. But then later, he has to be told who another famous kids TV show individual is. And I would think it would be far more likely to know who Optimus Prime is over Darkwing Duck. And those are the 2 characters that are brought up. And he seems to know who Darkwing Duck is, but has to be have it explained to him who Optimus Prime is. And I think if you were just dipping your feet into culture to kind of keep yourself up to date, you would be much more likely to know Optimus over Darkwing. That was my criticism. But it's a great line in the book, and that's the thing. I wouldn't want him to change it. And he actually did put a throwaway line into the offshoot book, about how this character tries to keep up with current trends, but it's still, Optimus over Darkwing. But who knows? Maybe the dude's got a thing for ducks. I don't know. But, any book you're going to have criticisms with. And, I wrote that down to him, and he came back to me. He was like, yeah, and, he said a couple things back to me. Not like, shut the hell up, fat boy, die. Nothing like that. But, he enjoys getting criticism. He enjoys things that can make him a better writer. And he definitely, he responded to me. I'm sure if anybody else, as he gets bigger, I'm sure he's not going to have less and less time to respond to fans. But as of right now, he does try to take all this stuff and use it to make himself a better writer. So, that's great. So let's just go ahead and take a quick look at the book. Of course, you can see the nice cover here with the nerd vampire feeding. Of course, on the back, we've got a nice little write-up here. So as you can see, you can go ahead and pause that and read it if you'd like. Actually, I'll go ahead and read it to you. Bill Ryder was a dateless dweeb, then he died. Unfortunately for him, that was just the beginning of his troubles. He awoke to find himself a vampire, one of the legendary predators of the night. Unfortunately, he was still at the bottom of the food chain. Now he's surrounded by creatures stronger, deadlier, and a whole lot cooler than he is, and they all want him dead, permanently this time. But Bill isn't exactly average. A vampire like him hasn't been seen in centuries. He's got a few tricks up his sleeve, unlikely allies, and an attitude problem that makes him too damn obnoxious to quit. So there you go, guys. There's a little write-up on the back. I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to Rick's Amazon page, so you can go ahead and take a look at that for yourself. Take a look at his website, and definitely, if you love to read, if you're a fan of the urban fantasy genre, pick up this book. It's really still, they're pricey for paperbacks because he's his own publisher, so he's probably got to print them himself. So the paperbacks are a little pricey, but if you pick up a digital copy on Amazon, it's going to cost you like $3 to $4. And that's definitely worth it. You can see this is not a small book. It's the first book is 359 pages. So definitely great for the price. Very enjoyable story. I would personally pick up the compendium all four for $9.99, but if you're not sure you're going to like it, pick up book one, and then you're going to regret it because you didn't buy the compendium. But this has been my review of Bill the Vampire, which is the Tome of Bill, Book 1. I am, of course, Rez the Collector. There are going to be some action figure reviews coming. Kid Flash still needs to be done. I've got a whole list of them. Kid Flash, a couple of Bizarros, 66 Batman, I think. So I got reviews coming. I got action figure reviews coming. Look out for those guys. Of course, rate, comment, and subscribe. I will be sending this video to the author. I don't know if he's going to read it or not. Or watch it, not read it. Ooh. So again, rate, comment, subscribe. I want to thank you guys for watching, and have a nice day.